Angela. Taxi's here. It's not going to wait all day.
They'll wait, Mona. You got the money. They got the time.
Tony, did you pack me a warm sweater? It gets nippy in San Francisco this time of year.
I packed you a warm sweater.
Did you pack me a nightgown?
Your flannel PJs, the snuggly ones with the feet.
It wasn't very business trippy.
You're right, Angela. Don't wear them to meetings.
Oh, I'm off. Goodbye, Mother.
Bye.
Goodbye, Tony.
Yeah. Angela, aren't you forgetting something?
Goodbye, Tony.
No, Angela, not goodbye, Tony. This.
Oh, that.
Who is that enormous woman?
That's Celeste Louise, my cousin.
Oh, well, you know what they say. The camera always adds 30 pounds.
Come on now, look at that face.
Look at those cheeks.
They're not that big when she's not eating. Hey, Angela, she'd be the perfect model for that Italian foods account, huh?
I've already got the model, thank you. That's what this meeting in San Francisco is all about.
Hey, Angela, I'm telling you now, Celeste Louise, she'd be perfect. Hey, she loves Italian food.
Yeah, and she doesn't look like a picky eater.
Huh?
Hi, welcome back to Ayo, Away, the Who's the Boss podcast.
I didn't know who was doing it this time.
Either did I just went for it.
I know. You looked at my confused face looking back at you, probably.
I'm Tori.
And I'm Kevin.
And we are here to rewatch and discuss every single episode of Who's the Boss.
And we mean every single one because we're doing this episode.
Right. Even if the main characters of the show are only in 2.5 minutes of the episode, except for Angela. Okay, so yes, today this is probably going to be a short episode. We are reviewing season 2, episode 26. It's called Charmed Lives. It first aired on May 13th, 1986. So it aired a week after what I would consider the
finale, the real finale.
Yeah, the season finale, which was the anniversary. The TV Guide summary says, Angela thinks she's hired the perfect model for a client until the client sees a gorgeous blonde. Well, ain't that a bitch? Okay, so this episode was written by Paul Haggis, Eve Brandstein, and Peter Mark Jacobson. So when I looked up, Paul Haggis wrote the pilot for Who's the Boss.
Okay.
Eve Brandstein was also a writer on the show. Now, Peter Mark Jacobson at the time, was Fran Drescher's husband and writing partner.
Ah.
So, don't really know. I couldn't find much on how this pilot came about, but it appears that Fran Drescher was more than just an actor. Probably she and Peter brought this idea to someone at ABC. But
Fran Drescher was pretty much a nobody then. I don't want to say nobody. I mean, she hadn't done a lot, right?
That is a good question, right?
She didn't do The Nanny, obviously. That was later.
Yeah, so possibly. I mean, I know she and her husband were very scrappy, and they were shopping anything they could around for a while before The Nanny. So
okay.
She may have just made some contacts on Who's the Boss, or made some contacts from one of the... Because she had been... Now, Fran was in a previous episode of Who's the Boss.
Right, that's of course, yeah.
Playing... What was her name? Let me look it up real quick. She played Carol Patrice in the episode The Heiress, where she's redoing Mona's apartment.
That's right, yes.
But up until... So she had Saturday Night Fever, American Hot Wax, Saturday Night Live...
Well, she probably was in Spinal Tap by then, right?
She was in Spinal Tap by then. That was 1984.
Right.
But I mean,
I remember her in Spinal Tap.
But do you remember her in Spinal Tap because you know her as Fran Drescher, or at the time did she become popular because of this Spinal Tap?
I think she became popular later.
Right. Okay.
But I always I don't know. That's weird. I always recognized her as some, I don't know. That's an interesting question. I did always kind of recognize, because she's such a character with the accent and the voice.
No, I will say,
and she's pretty awesome. And
it's
a short scene, but she's awesome in Spinal Tap.
Yeah, if I've seen that movie, it's been a long time.
We should watch it. It's so funny.
She was in an episode of Silver Spoons, 227. and then Who's the Boss. So yeah, at that point, it seems like Charmed Lives was really would have been her first series if it had picked up.
I feel like, it would have been, she would have been pretty kind of recognizable. Because even in this episode, when she enters the scene, the fans.
Oh, people.
They're like, it's almost like people kind of knew who she was in the audience.
Okay, got it.
Either that or people were like, she's hot or something. I don't know. Everybody's like, ooh.
Or they just had a sign like, clap here.
Or react.
We're gonna make her feel good.
Yeah, I don't know I was listening, or the other night we did. I'm like, oh, that's interesting.
Yeah,
I started to
that's
think,
true.
Maybe she was bigger than I realized, or she was a little more popular than I realized.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody knows. Call our voicemail because that thing's empty. Nobody calls it.
Okay, so when this episode opens, there's a taxi outside honking. Mona answers the door. She's yelling for Angela to get ready because the taxi's not going to wait all day. Tony's like, don't worry, the taxi will wait.
She tells the taxi cab driver to keep his shirt on, which is probably a very old saying, I feel like.
Now, Angela comes downstairs, and she's going down her little list. She asks Tony, did you pack me a warm sweater? It gets nippy in San Francisco. Mm-hmm. So that's letting us know that Angela's going to San Francisco.
Right.
And he says he's packed her sweater. What about her nightgown? He says he packed her flannel PJs, the snuggly ones with the feet.
But don't wear them to meetings.
Right. So she's like, that's not very business trippy. But, what if Tony is subtly, packing pajamas with silly feet to make sure she doesn't bring anybody back to her hotel room?
Any what?
Anyone back to her hotel room.
Oh, yeah.
He's like,
I was more disturbed by the fact that Tony packed for her.
Well,
I think that's the bigger picture.
I know, but
she can't pack for herself.
But he's her housekeeper.
Did she pack he packed the unmentionables then that he was afraid of in the beginning?
I know, that's a good point. 3
all of
bras.
a sudden he's ripping through the drawers.
3 pair of underwear. Does she need tampons?
Okay. See? But that's what I mean. That's my point. Why is she packing?
Does he pack?
I don't care if he's the housekeeper or whatever, or pack your own shit.
That is a good point.
It's a weird
but a lot of married couples, I'm not going to mention any, will pack for... One packs for the other.
I know. You don't pack for me.
I don't pack for anyone. No, I pack for my children.
I don't pack for anyone.
I can barely pack myself.
I know.
But yes, I know.
But we do know.
The idea of me packing your suitcase is very foreign to me.
I know, but a lot of couples do that. One will pack for the other.
Right. But he is her housekeeper.
I don't know. I think packing's a bit much.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyway,
so,
I'll let it go.
So she's like, okay, I have everything. Goodbye, Mother. She kisses her. And then she's like, goodbye, Tony. And she's headed for the door. And he's like, Angela, aren't you forgetting something? So she, dramatically puts down her bag, walks back over to him, puts her hands out and says,
goodbye, Tony.
Goodbye, Tony. And he says, no, not that. No, instead, we're going to have a minute and a half of fat shaming jokes.
Yeah, another reason this episode.
Yeah. So Tony hands her a headshot. Mona says, who is that enormous woman?
Right out of
Tony says, that's my cousin Celeste.
Celeste
Celeste Louise.
Louise.
Mona says, well, they say the camera always adds 30 pounds.
Oh.
Tony's like, come on, look at her face. And Mona says, look at those cheeks. So he's trying to get Angela to hire his cousin to be the model for this Italian food line that she's going to San Francisco for. The food line is Princess Vianelli, and they are looking for a Princess Vianelli. So Angela says, I've already got the model, letting us know. Thank you. That's why I'm going to this meeting in San Francisco. He's insisting that his cousin will be great. She says, that is not the look we're going for, but thank you. Angela's running out the door.
Did you notice that, I know what I noticed in this episode is the eyebrows still.
Yes, so the eyebrow is still missing. Yeah. So this episode was shot.
But this was shot
after the.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
And it's still the eyebrows.
So there he must have done something between whatever was shot before the anniversary and the anniversary, that made it so that his eyebrow is missing. And then these 2 episodes, were shot after. So I know, just pencil that in a little bit. Even some Sharpie marker. Like the TV.
The makeup people were doing.
The pixels weren't great on the TV back then. No one was going to notice. So.
Yeah, whatever.
He's chasing her out the door. He says, if not this cousin, I have another one. She's half as heavy, although she is a little shorter.
Oh.
And Angela just drives away.
She loves Italian food.
Right. So, and this...
And it also means she's not a picky eater, he says.
Mona says that.
Or Mona says that because of his size.
Right.
Interesting.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, 80s.
Let's move on.
Sure, no one at home was affected by listening to that on all these shows at all.
No.
So then that is the only time that we're going to see Tony, Mona, and Angela in a scene together. The kids are not in this episode at all, and for the rest of the episode, it will just be Angela. So I'm just going to kind of summarize what happened. So this was a pilot that they were trying to spin off of Who's the Boss. It was going to be called Charmed Lives. Basically, at some point, Angela had met with a model named Joyce Columbus, and now she's in San Francisco. They don't really explain how her and this character, Mickey Day, are associated, but she is now going up to Mickey's office so that she can meet with Mr. Vianelli, who is the head of Princess Vianelli, to pitch Joyce Columbus as Princess Vianelli. There's kind of a little history between Angela and Mickey where they seem to spar a bit. This guy just kind of seems douchey all around.
Douchebag.
So when Angela gets to the waiting room to see Mickey, there is another woman already waiting. That woman is Lauren Sullivan, and she's played by Donna Dixon. So another, in addition to Fran Drescher's husband writing this episode, Donna Dixon and Fran Drescher have been very good friends for years.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Interesting. I wonder how they met.
I don't know. That's a good question.
I mean, she wasn't ever on... Was Fran Drescher on Bosom Buddies?
I don't know. She wasn't when I looked. So that's what I know Donna Dixon from the most was...
Yeah, everybody does.
Bosom Buddies, which I loved that show as a kid. So cute. Maybe that would be our next podcast.
That's a good one.
There's probably a lot of stuff in there that's no longer at all politically correct.
Oh, yeah. We'd have a field day with that one.
Yes.
Talking about fat shaming and gay jokes. And God.
Yeah, and just the fact that they're dressing as women as a joke.
Yeah, we'd be here all night.
Okay, but anyway, when I was a kid, I just loved Tom Hanks. And
I know,
Peter
and he's
Scolari.
great. It's a great show. I mean, it was a great show for its time. I mean, we even we rewatched the whole thing.
We did recently. We rewatched what we could find. We couldn't find it all.
Yeah, I mean, but honestly, we missed 4 episodes.
Right.
You know what I mean? We pretty much watched the whole thing.
I know, we are losers.
I know. It's there's enough new. Again, we've covered that. There's enough new TV out there we could watch for the rest of our lives, and we are watching Who's the Boss and Family Ties and whatever else.
Okay, so she's also the wife of what is his name? No, I forgot it.
Who?
Dan Aykroyd.
Oh, Dan Aykroyd. That's right. I always forget that.
Yes.
Because I remember looking her up when we watched Bosom Buddies. That's right. She's married to Dan Aykroyd.
So Lauren Sullivan is waiting to speak to Mickey Day. And his secretary is kind of putting her off, saying he's not there, he's busy. And in walks Angela. The secretary is like, oh, go right in. Mickey comes out, says hi, brings her in. So obviously the secretary is lying to Lauren Sullivan.
Right, of course.
So she sits down to continue waiting to speak to Mickey Day. At that point, Fran Drescher's character walks in, who is Joyce Columbus. So this is the model that they're pitching to be Princess Vianelli. She says, she checks in, and then she goes and sits down. So she and Lauren Sullivan start talking. At first, Joyce is concerned that this is her competition to be Princess Vianelli. She's a little on guard. Then when she finds out that Lauren is actually a photographer and is there to try to get Mickey to give her some commercial photography work, suddenly she's very friendly with her and stuff. And Lauren's basically saying, I've been waiting all day and I can't get in, and, I'm having a hard time getting. Lauren's struggle throughout this whole episode is that no one will listen to her. So Joyce, who does not have that problem, says, you just need to go in there and you need to tell them that you're the best photographer they're ever going to meet. And if they don't give you a job, you're leaving. She gives her a big pep talk in the waiting room. So she says to Lauren, I can talk people into anything. I'm going to be Princess Vianelli. I'm not even Italian. Now, in the office, Mickey and Angela are talking to Mr. Vianelli, who is asking, actually, is she even Italian? And I thought this part was so funny because they're trying to convince Mr. Vianelli that she is, in fact, Italian by saying, we gave her a test.
Right.
And he's like, what test? And no one had heard of mainstream like Ancestry.com or 23andMe. There was no such thing as a DNA test. So they're like, how can you test someone to see if they're Italian? Well, you absolutely can test someone. Right. So Mickey Day is saying, we showed her different types of pasta to see if she could recognize them. But I just thought that was funny because now, you can totally break down every ethnicity that you are, basically, if you take one of those DNA tests.
Yeah, that's for sure. The interesting thing was, side note, I kind of always thought she was Italian, I think. I didn't really pay attention or think about it, but she's Jewish.
Yes, she is Jewish.
So,
but I also feel like...
so when she said that in this episode, I looked it up. I'm like, oh, yeah, I guess she's not.
Yeah. But there are a lot of similarities between, Italian families, Greek families, Jewish families. Right.
No, I know. I just never investigated or researched Fran Drescher that closely.
Yeah, I knew that because
you were a big nanny.
Walking behind my microphone.
You were a big nanny fan.
Right, yes, because I've known her from The Nanny.
Which is why I thought you might like this episode a little bit more.
No, I mean, if I was watching this for Fran Drescher, maybe.
Yeah, that's true.
Just the fact that it's like a Who's the Boss episode that's so out there. No. But I will say, I do love Fran Drescher. I do love The Nanny. I also love the 1997 movie Beautician and the Beast.
Beautician.
Which was way cuter than you would expect. Okay, so they bring Joyce in to meet Mr. Vianelli. He's not that impressed with her. He's kind of on the fence. So right at that moment, Lauren busts open the door and starts giving the speech that Joyce prepped her for, which is, I'm the best damn photographer you're ever going to meet, and if you don't hire me, I'm going to leave and you're never going to see me again. And Mickey's like, okay, great, and he slams the door in her face.
I know. You know what? We didn't go over who Mickey was. I guess, do we?
Oh, you're right. I'm sorry. So Mickey Day is played by John Kepelos.
Yeah.
I have no idea if I'm saying that right. And it says that he was in The Breakfast Club, which I do not recognize him from. But he has an extensive career. Character actor.
I wonder what he was in The Breakfast Club.
It says Carl. I guess he was probably one of their dads, is my thought.
You think? I don't know. He would have been... Yeah, maybe.
Let me see. Breakfast Club was...
You're right. He would not have been. Oh, he was the janitor. I just looked it up, and I remember him
and I
now.
Do remember him now, too.
Yeah.
Oh, he's also in 16 Candles.
Carl
he plays
the janitor.
Rudy.
He plays what?
Rudy in 16 Candles.
Oh, I don't know
he's Dino in Weird Science. I mean, this guy is seriously
he's been in a lot of stuff.
In everything. And he is still a working actor. He is now on the Umbrella Academy. Let me see. 201 acting credits on IMDb. Good for you, John Kepelos.
Yeah, he's a working actor, that's for sure. And the only other thing, the first thing I recognized him from was Seinfeld, of course.
Of course, right.
He was in The Sweater, which was the one where they think that he has their money because he's an accountant or something, and they think he's doing cocaine, so they get their money back. But it turns out he's allergic to this sweater that Kramer's wearing.
Of course.
Because he's sniffling a lot, so they think he's doing coke. Buying cocaine with their money. I don't know. 2
actors in this episode are in Seinfeld.
That's true. That's a good point.
Okay, so as Mickey slams the door in Lauren's face, now Lauren, if you don't know what Donna Dixon looks like, is blonde, blue-eyed. Fran Drescher, if you don't know what she looks like, is brown-haired, brown-eyed. Even though Fran Drescher is not Italian, she could pass for Italian more than Donna Dixon.
True.
So he slams the door in her face, and Mr. Vianelli is pointing at the door and says, "That's my princess." So Angela tries to explain, like, she's blonde, she's very Nordic looking, this is not at all what you were looking for. And he's like, I know, but there's just something about her. He was captivated by her.
That's what it was.
Speech.
A blonde woman walked in, he didn't care anymore. Suddenly she's Miss Vianelli.
Vianelli, yeah.
Vianelli.
Now Lauren's other struggle throughout this episode and in her life that she expresses is that she's always just been handed things because of her looks.
There you go. Case in point.
And so he says that that's Princess Vianelli, and she's like, no, I'm not a model. I'm a photographer. I do not want this job. But when they explain that it's $30,000 a year, I guess $30,000 for the job, not a year, with a car and an apartment and a clothing allowance, she takes it.
Right.
So I looked it up.
Big.
Yeah, I looked it up, and that was $70,000
plus all expenses paid.
Right. So next we find Joyce at the apartment that they've given her. So they're kind of like setting her up. Here's where you're going to be staying for this. And it almost seems like they're going to be shooting in the apartment. It's kind of like a low key, like a webcam. like they're not going to be shooting her all the time, but they're going to be doing stuff in the kitchen with her and like taking a photo shoot in the living room.
Still sounds not good.
Webcam and pasta.
Yeah, pretty much.
So Joyce shows up at this apartment with all of her luggage in a shopping cart. And
what's with the shopping cart?
I know.
She's got to show her that she's homeless.
I would have thought that she got it from Angela's garage, but we're in San Francisco and not Connecticut, so
right. And I guess that was the other reason why Angela had to fly out to San Francisco. I guess the show was going to take place in San Francisco.
Right. Yes. Exactly. So she shows up there, she has all her stuff, and she's basically saying, you stole this from me, and now I have nowhere to go. I'm sleeping in this shopping cart, even though it's the same day.
She's suddenly experiencing homelessness in about 2 hours.
So they start talking, and Lauren says, I didn't want it, but I just couldn't pass up the money because I've just gone through a divorce, and this is how I'm going to start over. And she's ready to stand on her own 2 feet and not be judged by just her looks anymore. She wants to have more substance to her life, blah, blah, blah. So
I wonder if Mickey was going to be a regular on this show.
I would think so, because I don't understand why else they would introduce him. I can find very little about the show, actually. Donna Dixon, on IMDb, it does list the 3 episodes. Mm-hmm. Let me check and see if he's...
But it doesn't say if...
But when I go to them, I thought it only said Fran Drescher and Donna Dixon.
Oh, really?
See full cast. Let's see.
I love that it turns out the whole apartment's a set. She's like she lifted a lamp, it's connected to the table.
Right, yeah. It's like a hotel room where they nail everything down.
Right, it's just funny.
So yeah, that's funny. So she says she's not leaving, and she takes Joyce's shopping cart and she pushes it out the front door, where it apparently then goes down a very, very long staircase and then rolls down one of the many hills in San Francisco. Just then, Mickey shows up for like a minute to give Lauren a housewarming gift, explain a little bit about Princess Vianelli, and then leave. So now it's the day of the photo shoot, and Lauren is dressed like someone you'd see at the Renaissance Fair, if we still had Renaissance fairs.
Right, if we were allowed to have them.
But she's like in this big dress. Yeah. And they're doing the photo shoot. She's completely miserable. She knows this job isn't for her. She wishes she would have given it to Joyce. So Joyce actually comes banging on the door of her apartment in the middle of the photo shoot. Mickey now slams the door in her face, but Joyce lets her in because she wants Joyce to take this job from her. And she doesn't even have a chance to speak because, again, Lauren's trouble is that people don't listen to her.
Right.
Before Joyce comes in and says, I'm going to sue you for, I don't even know, what'd you say, $3 million for breach of implied contract.
Yeah.
And that makes Mr. Vianelli go ahead and fire Lauren and give Joyce back the job. And Lauren's like, you didn't even need to do all of that because I would have just given you the job. But no one would listen to me.
Gosh.
So
this it would not lead into something I would ever watch, I don't think.
Yeah, I mean, pilots are often not the best
That's true.
version of a show, but
they didn't even give it a chance after this.
3 episodes, yeah. I guess it aired for three times in the fall after this setup, and then that was
Did it run... It must have run right after this, like Who's the Boss ended. Did it take Who's the Boss time slot?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay.
Wait, let me see.
So they try to introduce
dates.
it here, and then hopefully it has its own legs. But they didn't give it a shot. It was 3 episodes, literally.
Yeah.
After this pilot.
I can't find the dates here, but my thought
It doesn't say. It just says 1986.
Yeah, I thought that it was... Oh, no, I'm sorry. Here are the dates. So after this pilot, September 1st, 1986 was their first episode, which is actually episode 2.
Mm-hmm.
Then The Love We Lost just says 1986, and then the last episode was in December. So it looks like they just threw them up when they had space, and that was the end of it.
Yeah, they must have... I mean, they didn't give it any chance at all, which is unusual then.
Yeah, for that time.
I feel like shows lasted longer and struggled longer before they got legs.
But really the only name, Donna Dixon is listed first in this episode. So she was really the only, I guess, big-ish name here.
Yeah, that's true.
At the time. Okay, so the episode ends by the 2 women go into the kitchen where they're still arguing. Lauren is making herself a sandwich, sits down. She asks Joyce if she would also like a sandwich. Wait. Oh, no. Something about the sandwich. Lauren says, let's split this one. Where they get the great idea to then be
that's
twins.
where the idea is.
So they're going to be the Princess Vianelli twins.
Come on.
So Angela comes in. They explain that idea to Angela. Angela goes out, pitches it to Mr. Vianelli. It works, and everybody's happy. And there we have... the groundbreaking blockbuster series, Charmed Lives.
Oh, then they showed a trolley car.
Well, you got to show that you're in San Francisco.
Yeah, I guess so. And
Yeah, so 3 episodes in the fall, nothing happened. Now, this is the first of 3 spin-offs. I believe just 3 that Who's the Boss is going to try. Is that the dishwasher?
Yes, I forgot it was running.
That's fine.
I know we usually turn it off,
know,
but
whatever.
this episode feels like an episode where the dishwasher could run.
We're almost done. No, how many? Do you think anyone's still listening? Hello?
What?
No, I'm just wondering if anyone's actually out there still listening.
I'm not.
Okay, so, now do we even rate this? I mean,
what?
I don't think it's...
Yeah, I mean, we can rate it.
But do I rate it? It's not fair to rate this as a Who's the Boss episode. And I kind of feel like I can't really rate it. I mean, I would rate this a 4, honestly.
Because even Angelo is not even... even though she's in the whole episode...
Angelo?
No, I said Angela.
Oh, you did?
If I said Angela, I didn't mean to. Even Angela is in the episode, but she's not in it enough.
No. She's really just background almost because they're trying to highlight these 2 actresses. I know, it's a bummer because I really like both of these actresses, but this just wasn't the show. But you know what?
That's all right.
This was a blessing because say this show had gone on for 15 seasons, so we would never have The Nanny.
That's true. That's a good point.
And I do love The Nanny.
I know you do.
All right, so do you want to rate this?
I'm right there with you. 4, 4.5. I don't know.
Yeah, and
as a kid, only redeeming quality I could have seen is maybe Donna Dixon was on it, and I know I liked her in Bosom Buddies. I don't know. I don't even remember. She does. Yeah. I don't even remember this episode at all.
Yeah,
at all. Not even. I know we didn't even rewatch it, but
Right.
There are episodes I know we haven't rewatched, and then I watch them and I'm like, oh, I remember what's going to happen here. So this I have no recollection of.
Yeah, because I wonder, like, okay, so you know when we were kids, you'd see a season, and then during the summer, the show would rerun. They probably wouldn't have even rerun this one. Like, it would have aired in syndication, but when I was a kid, I bet I was all ready to watch Who's the Boss at 8 o'clock, and when I saw that Samantha wasn't on,
All right.
and the rest of them weren't on, I, like, just went and did something else with
really?
in the
Okay.
background or something.
Yeah.
You know, a kid thing.
Yeah.
Okay, and I don't really think we should do Boss because there's no boss.
No, I mean, I guess I could have one. If you really wanted me to say who the boss was.
Yeah, you just go for it.
I would say Donna Dixon's character, Lauren Sullivan, because she could have just taken the job and ran
That's
with
true.
it. But
Yes.
she teamed up with what was Fran Drescher's character's
Joyce
name?
Columbus.
Joyce Columbus. What stupid names. Sorry if anybody out there is named Joyce Columbus.
Oh, you just offended
No, I don't mean the combination.
our 3 listeners that are named Joyce Columbus.
I know.
Great.
I mean the combination
No,
is so
I know.
silly. But yeah, she would be the boss because she didn't just take the job and run when she could have been living in this place, got her $30,000 or free rent, and told Joyce Columbus to go get on a trolley
Get
with
out
a
of
shopping
here.
cart.
I don't know, did they ever get all of her luggage back? I mean, did they just roll all the way down that hill?
I think that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. She's definitely the strongest character.
I don't know.
As
I'm just
far as, like,
mainly
making
kidding.
decisions
Like
here,
if there
except-
had to be a boss. in the episode.
Although Fran
Nikki.
Joyce did give her the pep talk that gave her her voice, but whatever. I just
That's
don't
true.
think
That's
it's,
true. They kind of complimented each other. They
Yeah.
kind of helped each other a little bit.
And it is cute that they're friends in real life. But I just don't think that we can really assign anyone a boss for this because,
That's true.
you know, the bosses are normally in relation to who's the boss.
Yeah, I thought I'd try.
No, you did a great job. All right, so
I don't know.
that's it, guys. We're done with season 2.
Wow.
Yes, so the next episode,
A big one.
yes, we are covering Angela Gets Fired, parts 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Moving into season 3. Lots of exciting stuff happened in season 3.
Is that right? I don't remember.
Yeah, because like Samantha becomes more of a teenager.
I'm
There's
looking
some
forward to all of it.
like teenage stuff happening.
Okay.
Angela gets a serious boyfriend.
Oh,
that causes-
Jeff.
Yeah, Jeffrey.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember Jeffrey.
And then at the end of the season, we'll have another awful spin-off.
Are you serious?
Yeah, the Mono one. That's the
right,
end of
the Mona
season
one.
3.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right. I remember that.
But okay, so thank you, everyone. We'll see you next time.
See ya.
Bye.
Thank you.
If you like this podcast, please subscribe and tell all your friends and give you a big pat on the back. Bye. I added some extra.